Welcome everyone to the Professor Failure channel. I'm your host Andrew, one of the hosts here on this channel, and I wanted to take a second to acknowledge the SS America video. If you've been a subscriber for a while, you probably noticed that the Titanic video was one of the most popular videos on this channel. Ever since I released it in 2020, it has actually been the most popular video on this channel. So I was obviously surprised when I saw that it had been beaten by the SS America video. And it didn't take long, but I would also notice that we gained a couple of subscribers as well from that video. So I wanted to go ahead and let you know that you should watch the 2-year anniversary video on this channel. And it'll explain some things like why I'm not going to be hosting today's video and some other things as well. So go ahead and watch that video and I'll see you in the next video. I'm going to hand this video over to Aaron and I hope you guys enjoy. Bye guys.
Vlad the Impaler, the only Wallachian person anyone has ever heard of, and the IRL inspiration of Count Dracula. An interesting figure to be sure, but unfortunately not many people actually know that much about him, which upsets me because he is a fascinating person. Let's talk about him. Vlad Dracula, aka Vlad the Impaler, was born in November or December 1431 in Wallachia. Not long after his birth, Vlad's father, also named Vlad, joined a society called the Order of the Dragon. When he joined, he was given the last name Dracul, which means dragon in ancient Romanian. His son was given the name Son of Dracul, or Dracula. The Order of the Dragon dedicated itself to stopping the spread of the Ottoman Empire. This will be important later. Eventually, Vlad was overthrown by a Hungarian-backed uprising, but got his kingdom back when he aligned himself with the Ottomans. You know, the people he swore to stop the expansion of at all costs. In exchange for becoming a tributary and sending his sons, Dracula and another person who isn't important, to the Ottoman court. This wasn't the worst thing in the world, as they were treated well and even educated. One of their lessons was war, which would serve young Dracula very well in the future. Hint, hint. By the way, I will be calling Vlad the Impaler Dracula for the rest of this video. After Vlad regained his kingdom, another Hungarian-backed uprising forced him and his older son, Mircea II, to flee, but they were caught and executed. This left the kingdom to Dracula's older brother, but he had become a monk, so the title fell to the 16-year-old Dracula. The new king had been attacking the Ottomans, and the Ottomans had grown fond of the boy, so they vowed to help him get his kingdom back. And they did. In 1448, just 1 year after the rebels took power, young Dracula was king of Wallachia. But say it with me, a Hungarian-backed uprising usurped the throne and forced him to flee. What was with those Hungarians? He fled to the court of his uncle in Moldavia, but when his uncle was assassinated, he and his cousin fled to Transylvania. Yes, Willie. He wanted to reclaim Wallachia, but it seemed no one cared about little old Wallachia. But then, Constantinople, the mother of all cities, fell to the Ottomans. This sent ripples across Europe. It seemed as though the Ottomans were unstoppable. There was a silver lining, for Dracula at least. Wallachia bordered the corpse of the Byzantine Empire and was not far from its former capital, Constantinople. Now, all of Europe cared about Wallachia and needed it to be a buffer for the Ottomans, but the current king was pro-Ottoman, and that would not do. So Dracula led an army into Wallachia, met the king's army, and killed the king in single combat. With the death of the king, Dracula became king again. He then led a military campaign to put his cousin on the throne of Moldova. Enough of that boring stuff, let's get to the torture and other shenanigans he got up to during his reign. But mostly the torture.
We'll get back to you after this short break.
Don't you just hate people breaking into your house and stealing everything that you own? Well, we have the solution to that problem. The brand new VTI insurance. This insurance will help you get anything that was stolen from you. And in the process, if something was stolen from you, then you might also want to check out our VTI security system, because when someone breaks into your house, it makes a very loud screaming noise, just like all the victims that came across Vlad the Impaler. If you would like to get either one of these bad boys, then call now. Call 1-800-1-800-1-800 right now.
One of the first things he did as king was find the name of any noble that was part of or even loosely connected to the plot to overthrow his father. He invited them and their families to an Easter feast. The older and physically incapable were impaled in front of their families. The others were enslaved and forced to rebuild his castle. When that task was completed, they were killed as well. There was one good thing he did. He had almost no poverty in his kingdom because he invited all the beggars in Wallachia to a feast. Well, he probably locked the door and set the building on fire. Well, I guess you can't argue with the result. The Pope called a crusade against the Ottomans, but no one cared except Dracula. The Ottomans realized and took over Romania and sawed one of Dracula's friends in half. Then they took Greece. Then the Sultan set his eyes on Wallachia and sent men to collect a large tribute. When they refused to take off their turbans to show respect, Dracula had his guards nail their turbans to their heads. As you can expect, the Sultan wasn't exactly ecstatic about this, so he sent some people to go snatch some civilians for his army as part of the tribute. Then Dracula impaled them all. This unsurprisingly angered the Sultan, who sent a general and an army to ambush Dracula, but Dracula pulled an Uno reverse card and ambushed the Sultan's army. Can you imagine what he did with the Turks he captured? Here's a hint, it's in his name. Yeah, he impaled any Turks that weren't killed in the ambush. Dracula's bloodlust could not be quenched by defeating one army, so he invaded Bulgaria and killed 23,000 Turkish civilians. He then bragged about this to the Sultan, who was not happy about Dracula bragging about how many of his civilians he'd just killed, so the Sultan invaded and was defeated by Dracula's far larger army. The Sultan was so furious, he dropped the campaign in Greece and turned his massive army to Dracula. This army was much larger than any mentioned before in this episode. Dracula's army that repelled the Sultan's second invasion was 30,000 men strong. This army had 150,000 men. This was a force to be reckoned with, even by the Golden Khan to the north and the Kaiser to the west. But this invasion will come in part 2.